Hey guys, welcome back to this flip video. You have been working on creating this art comic style call out. We have worked on the background here of the call out shape. Now we are moving on to our text. So I'm just going to scroll down the page here and let's get stuck into it. So over on the left you're going to grab your text tool and just click and write your name or your word of whatever you are creating. What I'm going to do is I've just clicked on my cursor again, and I'm going to scale that back up just so I can see it nice and big and it's easy to work with. Now, one of the really important things when working with text is to actually use the text tools over on the side here. So I'm going to go up to text and font and select it over here. Now what we're looking for is a font which is going to be nice and big and fat. Alright, if we've got kind of a really thin, let me find an example, a really thin design, something like that, it's not going to really pop off the page like we want. We want something nice, big, fat and bold. So go through here, actually just scroll through and find a text that you really like. You want something which is nice, fat, bold, kind of like that. Nice and easy, is not too intricate, that we don't have to play around with. Like, you don't want any big cursive handwriting stuff going on, no windings, no crazy stuff. Just something really basic that's going to pop off the page. Alright, so I'll let you guys have a play around. I've downloaded one which I really like, which looks like this, and I'm going to click apply. Alrighty, and this creates my text shape here. Once you've decided on your shape, get it to a decent size, what we want to do is actually give this a bit of a curve, and the easiest way to do this is to put this text layer onto a path. And so how we go about doing that is we keep it as a text layer, and I'm going to come over and find I'm going to use a circle for this. And what I'm going to use is this top line of my circle. So if I do it like this, imagine me putting that text layer on top of that curved top line. So I want to soften it off a little bit, kind of like that. I don't want to wrap it right around like that, because that's going to be too much. I'm just going to hold it kind of there, and it's going to give me a really soft curve for my text. So again, using my cursor and holding shift, click on your text and go to text, put on path. Now don't freak out if it goes upside down. There you have it. And this puts it on a path along your shape. Now I've got this nice kind of natural curve for my text. All I need to do now is I'm going to go to path, object to path, and that's going to make it an independent layer. So I can come back and delete that circle. If I tried to delete it before, my name would move around and jump off that path. Now all I need to do is come back to my text layer and use my rotation tools. I can spin it the right way up. And there you have it. I've got this nice kind of natural curve here. The next step that I want to do is to squish my name together so that all my letters are touching. So if I click on it once, all of my text comes up highlighted. But if I double click and then click again, I actually can independently select these text layers. So using plus and minus, I can zoom in, and I'm going to move each letter so that they're kind of overlapped. So once they touch, give it a couple more times. So that's touching there. I'm going to go over a couple more so that they're really overlapped. I can hold shift if I want to make big jumps, or just use my arrow keys to move them along. All right, hold shift for big jumps, and I should end up with something like this. Now don't fret if yours is coloured in at the moment. We're going to arrange that all around soon. So now I'm going to select all of it, all of my text. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm going to go to path, union. And what this is going to do is it's going to create one outline, one vector. Okay? At the moment, each of these individuals, I want the laser to follow one single path. So I'm going to click on union, and you'll see them all joined together. Another way to see this is if I go up to, where am I going? I'm going object, fill and stroke, which brings it up here. I'm going to turn the fill off, don't freak out. We're going to turn the stroke paint on. I'm going to make it black. And our stroke style, we're going to change to 0.1, make sure it says millimeters. And now you can see the laser is going to follow just that black outline of my text. Do not fret if it's really thin between your letters like here. Just Control Z and work right back to the beginning and give it another go so that these overlap a little bit more. So I know that these bits in the middle are going to cut out and fall away. I'm not going to need them, but my big outline and my main text is all together. Cool. So that's the first bit for creating our text layer. Our next thing what we want to do is create this beautiful outline like we did for our call out. But there's a different way we're going to go about it. We're going to use one of my favorite tools, which is our paint bucket. You might not see it. Click on a black down arrow and you'll see it. Find your paint bucket or fill bounding areas. Now we're going to have a look at some settings up the top here. There's this one called threshold. The threshold is what links to your shape here, how closely it does. And we're going to change that to 15. Make sure your threshold says 15. Then this grow shrink, this is what we're going to use to grow the outline of our text layer. So make sure it's clicked on millimeters, and we're going to make sure that we have got a 15mm growth on our text layer. All right, and I'm going to go to my first layer here and click on the G. And straight away you can see I've now got this fantastic outline all the way around my text. But you'll also notice, watch again around the middle of my R. So I click on my G, notice how another circle jumps up. We don't want these. So if I come up to my node selector and click, I can start deleting these out like so. There we go. Now don't fret if when you do this, if I come back here, don't freak out if you come to your paint bucket tool and it's on a color. If you go like that and it's all fill, do not worry. All you need to come up and do is grab your arrow tool, select it, and then you can use your lower selection tool right up the top here, and then it puts it in behind. Now we can come to our node selector and delete these holes in the middle. So we can just delete, make sure that we've selected the outline, and we're just going to delete all of these gray squares in the middle because we simply do not want them. Okay, we want it to be one solid outline of a shape. So there you have it. We now have our inside name here and our outline border. What we're going to do is we're going to select both of those, and all I want to see is just the outline of both of these. So I'm going to come back to Object, Fill and Stroke. I'm going to turn the fill off. I'm going to make sure my stroke paint is on, flat color. Make sure these say 0, 0, 0 and 100. 100's your opacity. And stroke path, change this to millimeters and change it to 0.1. Nice. So there we have it. We have got our beautiful outline of our text as well as our text layer. So selecting both of these again, I'm going to use my arrow keys to bring this shape right up to my callout. Cool. Zoom out a little bit. And now I want my name to be standing right out as big as my callout. So holding Control on my keyboard, I'm going to pull these out together. So with both of these shapes selected, I'm going to keep dragging until the end of my name comes out past this last bit of the callout, and the start of my name comes out past it as well. So it's nice and big. And I want it to be semi in the middle, so that looks pretty good there. Now what you can do is have a play around with colors to be able to see it like my original design. So for example, I'm going to select this background here, come back to my fill and stroke tools, and I could turn the fill on and make that background, I'm going to make it black. Actually, I might do it the other way around. Let's do it with my text layer first. I'm going to do my text layer, put the fill on there, and let's, I don't know, make it yellow, and the background I'm going to make black, just so it really stands out. And there you have it. That is our simple call out design that we're going to do. Now obviously you can play around with the text, you can play around with the number of stars in the background. Another thing some people might ask is, how do I do a cloud background? What you might like to find is actually a cloud shape or a cloud silhouette, and do your, how do we do it? We go path, trace bitmap, and follow the same process to get a cloud in the background. It's up to you on what shapes you choose. But this is about the size that I want of my original shape. Once you're happy with your design and how it's going to look, this is our final process to get it ready for the laser cutter. We are going to highlight everything, like so. So every single design in my shape is selected. I'm going to come back to Object, Fill and Stroke. I'm going to turn all colors off. Okay, the laser cutter cannot see colors. I'm going to make sure that the stroke paint is on flat color because I only want it one color, and I want it all to be black. So make sure our parameters are 0, 0, 0, and 100. And our stroke style, we want this to change to millimeters and 0.1. This is what the laser cutter needs to see. All right, that is our finished design. When we get over to the laser cutter, we will actually move each layer independently. I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. But what you can do is make sure you go File, and we're going to go Save, and you're going to give this the correct naming system on your computer. So for example, my name first, and this is my name. Actually, I'm going to call it Comic Name Plate. I need to make sure this SVG stays at the end, and hit Save. Alrighty, this is ready to go. The next step that I'm going to show you is actually how the laser cutter is going to cut this. Because we want this to be on all different layers, I'm going to grab, I'm going to make sure that none of my sizing changes, but I'm going to grab my text layer, and I'm going to bring this down here. That's going to be one design, okay? The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that I have got this as a copy, because I want this to just print the outline of this thin structure that we're going to make this black border with. But then I also need the full background as well. So I'm going to click on my biggest one, hit Command D, and I'm going to drag that just to a different space, because I want that as well. So that there will become my background. So I might show you that by going, that's my background in yellow. And then this edge here will get cut out on the laser, and that will be our black border that we will create. The last step that we need to do is to make this text layer two independent layers. I want the text as well as this bubble background in the background. To do that, all we're going to go is go Object, Ungroup, and that will turn it back into my text layer and background layer. So now if I select the background layer, I can move it along, or the text layer, move it along to its own independent space. Okay, so when we cut this over on the laser cutter, all of that we print. Okay, all of that we cut. If we cut it out like this, obviously it's just going to cut all together and only be one layer, whereas now we've created the background, which will be that one. These two layers will get cut and we'll be left with the black outline. We will then get this cut out, which will be the background for our lettering, and then obviously our lettering there together. All right, so obviously you don't need the colors, but those are all the layers that we're going to need. Once you've done all that and joined them up to make sure that they're all kind of in the same space, we're going to go File, Save, so that we've got our work to work on later, and then go File, Save As, and we'll leave the name, but we need to change this here, this drop down menu. On a Chromebook it's down in the corner. We're going to change it to DXF R14. We need to make sure it's the R14 DXF, and we're going to hit Save. Make sure that your base unit is set to millimeters so that all of our dimensions will stay the same. Hit OK. Now that will get saved in your Linux folder, and what you're going to do is email that file over to laser@ashurst.school.nz, and that will be ready to print and cut out. Then you can get artistic. Hopefully you guys managed to get through that flip video. I know it's a long one, but hopefully you had a bit of fun. Good luck.